Hi, welcome to 5 Questions with LeRoy Butler. We're here after the Packers' convincing victory. Yeah, it was pretty much of an annihilation against the Chicago Bears. What do you make of that game? Good Packers or bad Bears?
I'm going to say good Packers. And the only reason why...
Because you're a homer, of course. But go ahead.
I'm trying to be honest, but there's a lot of truth to that, too. But both teams had a bye week. I saw no new wrinkles by Chicago.
Right.
I saw a bunch from the Packers. That's the reason why I think that's good Packers. Self-scout, which McCarthy talked about. They looked at the New Orleans film objectively and say, okay, we see the problem, but we're going to fix it, but let's problem solve. And we'll talk about that in X's and O's, but they gave you some new wrinkles that Chicago weren't ready for. And Chicago combat that with a terrible game plan on both sides of the ball. Just not real good.
Yeah, it was a mismatch of the worst proportions. Now, so you talked about the Packers used the bye week to go into the lab and conjure up something new. And to their credit, they came up with Clay Matthews in the middle. What's your thoughts on that move? And are we making too much of it? Is it a one-game, game planning thing, or have they kind of opened, Pandora's box a little bit here and made it so that they can do all kinds of things with them?
Well, I think for the most part, it's a progression to every defense that they have. And you can also understand that McCarthy, with Don Capers, I'm going to get my best guys on the field. I'm going to play Nick Perry a little bit more. I'm going to put Matthews in the middle. I'm going to put A.J. Hawk with another veteran that he doesn't have to worry about. Doesn't have to worry about if the guys line up properly. But sometimes you can create a problem when you problem solve.
Right, which is
you can do that.
The whole Pandora's box thing. Now all of a sudden you've put some onus on some other guys in different positions, and you're asking Clay Matthews to do things that he hasn't done naturally before.
And he has to learn a lot. He has to learn the middle, the left, the right. But they were moving him around, but he had 11 tackles against the Bears. He seemed to be more active, and we're going to show a play at X and O's where he's just an aggressive guy.
Yeah.
So you can see the whole entire defense from that area. But again, that's good. Now, when you're playing Darren Sproles in Philadelphia, you could be creating another problem.
Right.
So it's up to the offense to figure out where the weaknesses are of the defense.
And, the thing you have to really like about Matthews is, and the things I saw was, he takes on blocks and he sheds them. I mean, he's aggressive.
He's a little slippery.
If the ball carries in his area, there's a good chance he's going to get a piece of them at some point.
And that's what you want. That's what you want him to do. I mean, a couple weeks ago, people thought he was in a slump, or was he healthy or whatever. Clearly he's not. But, you know what, I watched that Bears game. It made me think about when we went to San Francisco, they were expecting us to play a 4-3, and we played the 3-4. They were a little surprised, but it was the third quarter by the time they made adjustments. But even at halftime, Chicago, although it was, 42-0 or something like that, they never made any adjustments to kind of progress themselves to do something, you know. And if you're the Green Bay Packers, you got to understand something. I mean, you got to put your foot on this team's throat and get them out of the realm of even thinking about the playoffs. Because everybody said, oh, the Bears are going to play great. They're a desperate team. As Mike Daniels said, we're desperate too. Because if the playoffs started today, the Packers probably wouldn't even be in it.
They wouldn't. They wouldn't.
Right.
Seattle
so they're just as desperate. So I like that frame of mind. It's a sense of urgency. Coming off a bye week, you're rest, you're fresh, and you got new things.
Yeah. So much talk about the defense, that 55-point performance was sort of overshadowed.
But we've seen that before. We haven't seen the defense do it.
Yeah. When are teams going to understand that you got to take Jordy Nelson out of the game? How do you do that?
Two teams did it, Detroit and New Orleans.
Yeah.
They said we're going to take 87 away, and we're going to monitor 18. Everybody else, if you beat us, God help you.
Yeah, right.
But the Bears, they have communication problems, they have talent problems, and they have organizational problems. on defense. You got to be organized. If Aaron Rodgers knows what coverage you're in, you're defeated. He knows when you're 1 high, 2 high, 3 high, zone man. And when I say he knows, it's an educated guess. But most scientists are right based on that. So if he knows this, as coaching staff, give me some ammunition to defend myself. And that's what the Packers did by putting Matthews in the middle. The Chicago Bears didn't do anything that they didn't know. That's where you get the 55 points. It should have been 80, if you're honest with you.
If they wouldn't have taken Rodgers out and kept the pedal on.
I want him to break the eight touchdown. That would have been great.
If, based on what you saw on Monday night with Philadelphia and Carolina, do they need to be, what do they need to be worried about with Philadelphia's defense? So it's kind of hard to tell because Carolina's offensive line is horrendous. And Cam Newton, how many times was he sacked? 9 times, whatever
that's
it
crazy.
was. But what do you see them doing in trying to combat the Packers' offense?
Well, they're going to look at 3 games. Obviously, the 3 games they lost. Then they're going to sprinkle in their system. Now, their system, you can run the football on Philadelphia. Now, I'm going to predict on this particular show that Eddie Lacy will get 20 carries. If you run Eddie Lacy in that secondary, he's going to run over guys. Your play-action game is wide open. So if whatever tight end is available, the big games will come from the tight end and from the back.
And it's appropriate that you mentioned that because they came out in that game in double tight end formation. I mean, first series, they come out double tight ends. They did it the last time they played the Bears, too.
That's good.
I don't know if that's what their plan will be against Philadelphia, but it seems to get them going a little bit, like they establish a little bit more of a physical game if they put double tight ends in and then just try to work off of that.
You can see huge gains from Bostic, which scored on 4th and 1. That was a package for him. If they say it's a room, he doesn't know the plays, it's just a room. It's not true. But they put him in.
I disagree with you on that
one.
We
disagree.
But anyway.
But they put in a package for him he's comfortable with. He scores. Now his confidence levels up. You build off of that. You give him 15 to 20 plays. And that's it. Don't try to make him read the whole book. Because the whole book has nothing to do with him. Just show me the plays that do with me. So we disagree on that. But I will say this. You can see a huge game from him and Quarles. And now Philly will get frustrated. Play action, 18, 87. Because remember, if you score quick, you're playing into Philadelphia's hand, Tom. They want to run 80 plays on offense. So if you score quick, your defense, which can't substitute, by the way, because it's hurry up, then it could be a track meet. And that's what they want to play.
But you also want to put some pressure on Sanchez, who will be playing in place of Nick Foles, to feel the pressure of having to match points with the Packers, don't you? Don't you want to get up, Well,
see, it ain't so much the quarterback, it's the system. The system wants you to try to get into a shootout. But I think sometimes if you're going up against UNLV, you got to be North Carolina and play 4 corners. You just got to win the game. So Aaron Rodgers' numbers, 20, 25, 275, 3 or 4 touchdowns. That's what he got. He can't be 450, 2 interceptions, 5 touchdowns. That won't work. Because your defense will probably give up 40 points. Because you never know. It's some good matchups out there, but if the defense can survive and get proper rest by running Eddie Lacy and using the tight ends, everything. Because ultimately, Mike McCarthy can outcoach Chip Kelly, in my humble opinion.
Wow, that's a statement.
Matter of fact, I think McCarthy can outcoach a lot of teams. He proved that against Tressman.
All right. Last quick thing. Every week, I keep thinking Detroit's going to lose, and they don't. They pull a game out.
It's a different regime.
Are they for real?
It's a different regime. But again, their quarterback, Matthew Stafford, is still on that list. That list of guys who will give you an opportunity. Romo, Matt Ryan. Those Cutler, those guys, they just can't help it. They think they can throw the ball in every area instead of just being efficient. But again, different regime. Best defense in the league. And they don't do anything stupid. Penalties. Very well coached. I mean, but
Packers have to keep. Packers are going to have to keep. They'll have to keep pace with them. And it could come down to the last game, just like it did last year with Chicago.
That's true.
Know.
And, you know, if you're Detroit, you're thinking, I want to win all my games so it won't even matter.
Right.
I'll be resting my guys.
Right.
Green Bay will need that to get in for a wild card.
Yeah.
So they got to keep pace. But trust me when I tell you this, they know the Packers are behind them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They know that. So it's going to be interesting, though. I think it's fun to watch.
It's going to be interesting, yeah.
Yep.
All right, be sure you join us for X's and O's. We'll be talking a little bit about Clay Matthews and also how Philadelphia will use Darren Sproles. We'll see you next week.